Okay, so this is the second Patron episode that I recorded with my Aunt Jenny, and I just wanted to release this one in honor of her free to everybody because it was a members only episode, just like the last one I put out. But just so there's a little clarity here, the episode I put out with my Aunt Jenny with the singing that's leading us off in the beginning, that's actually the second paid episode she did. This one takes place before that episode. So let's go ahead and get into this episode here. I'll just let it play from the very beginning. I won't have no outro on this one. I'll just leave it as is. So I just real quick want to thank everybody for being here and being willing to come on to the show, and I really appreciate it. There's got a lot more guests lined up here, and we have quite a few shows coming up that are pretty good. But in honor of my Aunt Jenny ManyHides, here we go.
And I heard the first officer call out, and then the first officer jumps on the radio and he screams, "Holy shit, it's the goat man!" And I mean, it's just like everything went quiet, and I could hear the ringing in my ears, and I could feel my heart race, and so I hit my lights and I went flying up there.
I've been told by some older people, elders, that you grab them and you hold them and you don't own them, but you hold them there until daylight. If you can hold them or pull them into the light, it destroys anything they have, any kind of power, anything they were trying to do to you. It'll destroy them.
This guy was like bouncing, like, you know, like how you see people kind of getting ready to jig, you know how they kind of bounce? Yeah, he was like that way. He was just kind of bouncing, and he was just kind of going back and forth on one foot to the other. And he just kind of turned sideways, and he turned back over to the other way, and he took off. Holy shit, he jumped in Wanda.
This is Lodge Tales. I'm your host, Rod Williamson, and thanks again for joining us on another episode. If you are Native American and you'd like to come on the show to share your strange and paranormal experiences, please consider emailing us at lodgetales@gmail.com. Well, thank you, patrons, for being here with us and listening in again. In this episode, we continue the interview with Jenny from episode 6. And in this one, we cover a story about a Thunderman, a lot of stories about Star School and Bigfoot around that area. Jenny also recounts a story where she, had some experiences while she was living with a bundle that her grandparents owned. I tell a story of my wife's great grandma and how they used to gather paint in the old holy way. Yeah, that's a good one. My aunt talks about a story where she had to battle this little spirit. Oh, that's pretty creepy. There's a story she talks about with a woman in a white dress. I talk about, toward the end of the interview, I talk about the stories about the Chemawa Tunnels and the big person that chases you down there. So we go over a few things like that and more. But yeah, thanks again for being a patron and for supporting us. I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you. Let's get on with the show. I hear if you can last through Red Blanket's tests and you're worthy, he'll give you a gift.
Yeah, I go out there and pray right there. You'll be heard. You will be heard. Long as you know and that what you're asking for, it's something good for people, nothing bad. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, that place, that whole area, there's so many stories that come from that place, and like, I remember this really cool old story about this Thunderman came from Canada, and he was right in that area where Starskull's at right now, riding through, and I don't remember too much about the names of these people. There was a man and his son were riding out Starskull there. They must have lived out there, but they come in contact with this man coming south from the north. He told them, where's that Sundance? It's supposed to be right here. And that's what I'm coming down for. And that man said, no, he was a chief at the time, but he said, no, this other lady, she said that it needs to be held in old agency. And he told him, no. He says, you're chief. You make her move it up here. It's supposed to be right here this year. And he says, I come down too to give my bundle to this man. He come down and we made an agreement that I was gonna transfer my bundle to him. He says, and that was 2 weeks ago. I'm giving him one more week to see if he comes. And before that man and that boy met him, that boy's dad told him, this man right here is really powerful. You be quiet now. And anyways, that's what they talked about. But that man, that Thunderman, was looking at that boy when he was talking to his dad, saying, yeah, but I'll give him one more week. And that boy was saying, you know, and how he looked at me is like he was looking through my soul. You know, it was one of those kind of looks that struck that boy. You know, and time goes by. Something happens. I don't really remember that part of the story, but that Thunderman ends up giving his bundle and his pipe, thunder pipe, to that boy. But he tells him to come up on this hill. And when he goes up to that hill, that Thunderman has all his gifts laid out. A whole bunch of stuff. And that boy has to walk in to that lodge. And when he walks in, that Thunderman's all the way to the west. To his right and to the left, there's a man. And if I remember right, one of those names was Iron Pipe that was in that lodge at the time when they transferred to that boy. As that boy walked in, as soon as he came in that doorway, that old man touched the ground. And when he touched the ground, lightning shot from him to those two men on his either side and then straight to that little boy. And they transferred that thunder to him. Well, that lady that was having that Sundance in old agency, that Sundance was, that lodge that she was in was struck by lightning and she was killed. They moved that Sundance to Starskull. That's only what I remember about that story, and I don't remember where I read it or where I found it. It's just something I remember vaguely. But that area does have a lot of history, even up into and including that Bigfoot. Like I was saying, another guy, I don't want to say his name, but he was playing basketball there one evening at Starskull at those outside courts. Their ball rolls down the hill. He runs down to get it, and there's a little one standing there holding that ball, looking up at him. He just all ran.
Hey.
My brother was chased across that flat by one, too. My brother and my brother-in-laws at the time, there was 3 of them total, chased them across that flat. They were playing basketball, and to me, if I remember right, they forgot track of time. They didn't want to cross that flat at night. Well, it got dark on them, and they had to cross, and there was one chasing them.
Yeah, we were told we couldn't be down there. My grandfather and they got that house in Starskull and what. We moved into Starskull. And we were told not to be down the bottom, you know, the sunset, because none of the kids were supposed to be out after that, especially us, because our grandparents had that bundle at the house. But we were told not to be down in the bottom at nighttime because there's like spirits and stuff come out at nighttime. So one time we were playing hide and go seek down there, and it started getting dark and darker. Next thing we start seeing like a dark man, you know, he starts, you know, here and there, you know, we start seeing him, and we took off out of there. And I was the youngest, so I was always, you know, the slowest, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the shortest. Yeah, man, it was freaked me out, you know. So I knew not to go down there no more. I didn't want to go through that. You know. But at home, we couldn't make noise after the sunset. My grandma would close up all the, curtains, everything. We couldn't make noise at all because we had that bundle.
Mm.
Mhm. To us, we were taught, like a baby sleeping, not to wake it up.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she was very strict with us. They really took the ceremony uh serious. Mm. That's that's how they took the ceremony. They didn't play with it or something.
Yeah.
Once you understand it, then you'll know. Mm. It was given to help us, not to destroy us or hurt us,
Mm-hmm.
if you understand it right. So we were taught to respect the ceremonies that way. We would go up to Delhi to take us up for the Foreign Society. We have a lot of relatives. My grandma, she came from up there too, A lot of history that our grandmothers came from. And for me, it's all four dams. One of my grandmothers came from. you So up there, she was really strict. We didn't get to go run around or make a bunch of noise.
Mm-hmm.
And they still had that whip net. And it was really like more like a quiet time. And people thought she was mean because of that. No, she's trying to teach us. We have to sit, listen, and learn. Watch what's going on. Mm. That's only way you'll learn
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing and what the teaching is, the stories, the pipes, or what they were given for, how to use them, not to misuse them. Mm.
Yeah, I was
So
always. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I tell people once you understand it, you don't abuse it in any way. It'll work for all of us. You know, we have to look at reality with it. You know. But it's a beautiful teaching. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but
Really is.
that same place down. I mean, before I get distracted, I wanna follow up with. Okay, so what you're talking about with these women being really strict, it reminds me of another story that I heard. So this would be my wife's. Let's see. It'd be my wife's great grandma. Um, so I guess she would. There would be gatherings, and she was she was old, elderly at the time too, and I don't know how long ago this was. It's a while back, but she was elderly at that time, and one of her son-in-laws would sit by her and visit her, and he told me a story that she told him, and it goes like this. He said she was a little girl, uh, and her sister were both raised by Big Springs and his wife, and she just knew when Big Spring's wife was getting ready to go get paint, and she'd grab this gunny sack, and then she would take all these glass jars that were just clean, and she'd wipe them out again with the rag, and she'd place them just so in that gunny sack, to where they wouldn't make noise when she'd pick them up and carry it. And those girls knew because they'd always go with her. So she'd grab that gunny sack, those jars, and an old shoulder bone to dig with. They'd get to a certain point, and there's this little stream they had to cross. As soon as they crossed that stream, there was no more noise. You couldn't make any more noise once you crossed that stream. After that, it was all sign language. And so they would get past it a ways. She would make her fire, and those girls had to stay behind and tend to that fire without making any noise, talking, or nothing like that. And this old lady would go up. Big Spring's wife would go up to this cliff. Right at the base of that cliff, she would take that shoulder bone and start digging. And she would take that gunny sack down just lightly, everything, take them all out one by one, put gray clay inside those jars. And then she'd gather them all up like that, no noise, just deliberately making every move, just so go all the way back down to that fire. She would take the jars out and she'd put them in those coals, all this gray clay in those coals, and then she'd cover it with this hide. And I don't remember if she'd sing. I imagine there'd be a song with it and some prayers, but then she would lift that robe off of it and she would just start taking them out of there, just so, and putting them back in that gunny sack. But when she was taking them out, they were all different colors of the spectrum that we use for paint. And he told me this was the holy way of getting paint. Whereas other times, if you have the right to pick paint, you go out and you see it on the ground and you pick it, right? That color, red, yellow, whatever you find, it's right there. In this way, it was all gray, but because of the gift she had, he was able to make it in all these colors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
that lady's from out in that area too. Their family's from Star School.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand or they never heard before, or maybe things that, that they have experienced the same thing, It's just like, all right, well, like I told you, listening to these interviews, it just makes a person like me eager to share my stories now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories.
There's so many.
Yeah, like they're in drowning many different times, I've got bothered and stuff in those houses, and my family members. The one that really, for me, was like, holy crap, what the hell was these houses, really built for them, And that was one of the log houses that my family member lived in. There's so many things that were happening to each one of us that on that house after a while. Bad dreams, seeing a little boy, in there. And I mean, for me, it was when I was sitting there talking to my brother. This was when my uncle, one of my uncles passed away, and they end up getting drunk and what, and so I kind of was talking to one of them. The other one passed out on the couch, and the other one was sitting at the table. And then finally, I told him, "You gotta go lay down and lay on that rocking chair." I kind of leaned back. I said, "I'll sleep on that log house." So he went and sat on that chair, and I went outside to go smoke a cigarette, and I was talking to those little puppies that were out there, and it was cold. Well, then I finished like that, and I went and found another movie and to put it in and watch it. But I wasn't really tired right then. So I'm laying there watching that movie then, and then all of a sudden I feel like somebody's in there or what, but no, I just kind of felt kind of uneasy. So I kind of sat up like that, and I started looking towards the kitchen and towards the hallway like that. And then I even looked behind that couch because she didn't have the couch against the wall, and I felt like somebody was, in there. So anyway, I'm sitting there like that, and all of a sudden I feel like if you've ever touched the top of your head with your finger, I felt like somebody was touching my head with their finger. So then I looked behind the couch again and nothing. So I turned my head the other way so I can watch the living room and stuff, or the kitchen and the hallway, because I really felt strange and I could still see the TV. So I'm laying there like that, and it's like automatically I start feeling tired, like I was fighting my sleep,
Mm-hmm.
Automatically I start feeling like I was fighting my sleep. I didn't want to go to sleep. Here I jump up off the couch like that, and I go over towards that chair and look down the hallway like that. And the hallway is pretty long and dark, but in that darkness, I can see this little thing coming like that, and it's not even touching the floor. It's coming in, and I'm standing there like that, and I start yelling for my brother, that's on the couch to wake up, help me, like that. And it's like he just opened his eyes and looked at me, went back to sleep. So I start yelling at my other brother, help me, that's on the chair, and he didn't even wake up. Mhm. So this thing is coming closer and closer, and I see it, and the face of it, I can't even describe it, but it wasn't a good face. Mhm. Its body form was short. It's like no, it was bone, just skin on bone. Had long fingers and what, it was short like that, and it was the color of ash. So it's coming at me like that, and so I start putting my half out like I'm pushing it away, and I'm telling her I don't believe in you, I don't believe in you, Start yelling out to my dad, help me, and like that, and all of a sudden I jump off the couch again, and I'm looking around, and my brother's sleeping, the both of them are sleeping, and I'm thinking in my mind, what the hell happened, What just happened? And I get up and I go look down the hallway and everything, and there's nothing there, and and I'm shaking, like I'm afraid to go back to sleep now. So I grab the cushions, I lay them on the floor, and I'm laying there just fighting myself to stay awake, not to go back to sleep. That's how I felt. Watching the sky, seemed to start turning blue, and I felt like I can go to sleep now. So I fell asleep. So everybody's pretty much awake, and I'm really sleeping now. And one of my brothers woke me up. The lady was there, wanted to talk to me. So I woke up, I was talking to her, and she left. And then I jumped up to the table. My family members were sitting around the table, and I got some coffee, and I kept on thinking about it. I need to tell them, so I can't forget, what the hell happened, So then I start telling them, what I just said, what happened. And they're kind of looking at me, and they didn't know what to say. So one of my brothers ended up asking me if I wanted to ride with him and my niece. So where are you guys going? He said, no, just take the full ride. We'll see what's going on around downtown or what. So we did. So we're going in the front of on that road, but the light by Chipo's and has that subway racing. And I happened to look towards the subway, and then I see myself in the mirror, and my whole cheek was swollen like somebody hit me. And I'm looking at myself, and I tell my brother, I said, why didn't you tell me I looked like this, He goes, what? And I look like what? And I said, this. And I start showing him. He said, oh, yeah. He said, that's why I was wondering who was laying on the floor. He said, because you look like a street person laying there. Like somebody, like get beat up on the street. And it kind of made me think, man, whatever that was, I seen and what that I fought with, well, that must probably where it hit me at, Yeah.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah, in that house, my one of my boys, and he had a bad experience. Something bothered with him, his wife, my sister-in-law. She said one night they were all sitting in that kitchen talking, visiting, and she decided to go lay down, and she was laying there, but you can hear my brother, they're like talking. All of a sudden, well, she turned her head towards the wall like that, and laying there, that you can hear him talking, and all of a sudden, it kind of got quiet, and she heard that door open. She thought it was my brother, coming in to go to bed now. But she kept laying there, and she started wondering, well, why it was taking him so long to get in bed. So she got curious and turned around to see what he was doing. And she turned around like that. She seen that a little dark thing standing in that corner like that. Yeah. So then she looked at it, and then she just turned back around again, and she started praying, telling it, I'm not afraid of you and what. You know. So she had a bad
Jeez.
experience in there too. A lot of us, a lot of my family did. And I always wondered why, what's going on there. I don't know if it has to do with them building them houses in the lake bed
Mm.
or what it is. Because my sister, after she moved out of that house, um, an elderly guy, he asked her one time if she ever got bothered in that house that she lived in at the walk home. But she said, no, He was telling me, and I said, what do you mean, no, But look at all the things that happened to us in that house. And she goes, oh, she goes, my mind just forgot. And I said, well, anyway, she said, so she asked that guy, why, what's going on? What happened? And he said, well, they had to do a cleansing at a house down that street. They had something in there that was bothering with them. Mhm.
Mm.
So I always wondered, what the heck is there or what? What is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. What I seen, it was like an out of body experience. Yeah.
Did you ever put barriers up around there to protect it?
Well, you know what? When we were kind of having that, after that, after I went to the Okan, that was in 2014, and then I went back, staying with my sister for a little bit again there.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like, to me, it was like a portal, a bad portal,
Oh.
something right there, something. And during that time when all the stuff that I was hearing, in that house, and it was bothering me, it seemed like those old ones were with me because I could hear my grandpa pray and talk and sing at times. I could see those orbs, everything that like they were there with us.
Oh, I
At
see.
the time it's like, gee, watching. I don't know because all these things that I could share a lot of these stories, and my children who were with me, witnesses to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's
I don't know.
another story about Star School, real quick. Oh, let me readjust here. At Star School, there was a guy, and yeah, I won't mention his name either because I haven't got his permission. But he was okay. So he was hunting in a bad way. He was wasting his kills. He would shoot just to kill those deer. And from what I understand, he was warned to stop that, but he kept doing it. Like the trophy hunters out there that just kill for whatever. So he's not eating the meat. He's not giving thanks. He's not offering its spirit anything. He's not trying to send it over in a good way. Just really disrespectful. And so he's in the flat down in that bottom in Star School, and he has an accident with his gun and he shoots himself in the leg. And as he's laying there, because he can't move and walk out, obviously, he's laying there looking at his leg. I imagine he must have been trying to, stop the bleeding and everything. But as he's laying there, all these deer walk around him and they surround him. And they're laughing at him. They all laughed at him when he was hurt like that. He finally was able to get out of there, and he told them what happened. I don't know if he ever changed his ways, but he lived a pitiful life, you know. And who knows why? Probably because of stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of different stories I could share about, different things that happened to me. The child right there in the Browning. One of them, when this woman in a white dress, like she followed me. And she followed me from my aunt's house. The reason why I feel like that is because one night I was spending the night at her house, and me and my cousin was in the room, and her and my uncle, and they came back, and I kind of looked in the room to see, what's in there, and she told us we need to go to bed now. That woman will be coming in, she said, at midnight. And I was wondering, what woman is she talking about? So I asked my cousin, she said, oh, there's a woman that comes in around midnight from that west door, and she goes into that last room, and she goes in that closet, And then me, I said, well, why she go in that closet? Why don't she go on that bed? And then she started laughing. She didn't really say anything. And so it bothered me after that. So anyway, I ended up spending the night there. And then I decided to go spend another night. And that night, I don't know, I just felt really uneasy about it. So I decided to run home at nighttime. So I got home and everything. And it seemed like, maybe 3 days or so. All of a sudden, boy, I was put into, like somebody was on me, pushed me down in my bed and stuff. And I would see a woman standing in that closet when I had my closet door open. All these things were really bothering me. So I would just ask my mom, I can move to this room, that room, and she would let me change rooms and stuff. I didn't tell her anything, about this woman. So each room we would move to, she would bother with me. So she'd be standing in the doorway, the door's open. I can't move. All of a sudden, I open my eyes and see her, and I'm yelling at whoever's sleeping by me, sister, what, and she can't hear me. So we moved to another room, and this time there was my one sister sleeping on that small couch they had in that room, and there was my other sister, and then me, and then our friend was laying on that one bed. And my head was turning at the bottom of the bed, towards the time by the window where it was. And so I could hear them talking. My sister on a couch, she went to sleep first. And the other two were talking. I was laying there listening to them, then my other sister fell asleep. So I don't know if her friend went to sleep, but I was laying there and I fell asleep. I obviously fell asleep because when I fell asleep, this woman was talking to me. And she was telling me about some stuff. I don't remember exactly what she was all saying, but she wanted me to go with her because she wanted to show me something. Mm-hmm. So I must have agreed with her. Yeah. And I didn't know that I physically get up in my sleep and I open the window and I start crawling out the window. Well, her friend, she was kind of went to sleep then. And what woke me up is when I was crawling out that window, the one that flew up, I was crawling out and I bumped my head and it woke me up. And I woke up like that. I freaked out and I started screaming and crying. You know, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So they all woke up, you know, and I'm screaming and yelling for my mom. And she comes in there and I'm crying, you know, hugging her, you know, start telling her, lady, you know, this woman, and I'm like, yeah, she keeps bothering me. And so I explained to her what happened. So she goes to her neighbor and talking with her. And so then I come in after school and everything after we ate, and she took me over there. We're sitting there at the table, and they have a back window for the kitchen there too. And my mother's sitting there looking at me, and I'm sitting right here, and the other lady sitting on the other side there. And so she's telling that lady, you know, about what I shared with her, and then so then my mother asked me to tell her about this woman. And when I looked up like that, you know, my mother asked me that, I see this woman standing in that window looking at us, you know. So I freaked out and I start crying. You know. She won't let me. She won't let me. She's right there, you know, which they can't see her. So the next day, which I didn't go, but my mother and I heard some other ones, I think the neighbor woman, but they went out to see an elder than that woman, which I won't say the name, but I know you know who they are. So they went out there and talked with them. So I don't know what they did or what it was, but that woman kind of left me alone then.
Hmm. What did she look like? Did you get to see her face?
I would never get to see her face. I would just see an outline of her, and she was in white. I could never really say what her face really looked like.
Was she wearing a dress or pants or?
With a white dress.
Oh, that's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
A lot of different things. Like the old lady Brown's house too. I don't know if you guys remember, right behind the junction driving. It's not there no more. But one time when I lived down in Fort Belknap, me and my old boy and his dad was up in Browning, and it kind of snowed, so we didn't get on the road. So it was already dark, getting dark. And my cousin and her husband and kids, they said, or well, we went over there. I went in, I was talking to her, asked if it's okay if we could spend the night there. We're going to drive the road right now because it's already dark and hot. And she said, yeah. She said, get to stay here. That they were going to go over to her mother-in-law to stay that night. And she said, you guys can just sleep in my room. Okay. She said, but that door, you have to put knives in there. So she told me that she put like 4 knives in it. The back door was already closed off. They had a whole bunch of stuff right there. I said, all right, then just eat and whatever you guys need to do, just eat, whatever. All right. So we went in like that, put the 4 knives in that door, ate, we cleaned up, and then we went into the room and went to sleep. And here all of a sudden, my boy's dad would wake me up, you know, he'd shake it, you know, hey, you know, that's your cousin, a cat? And I was like, I don't know. He said, because there's a cat right by the bed, and it keeps like growling at me. I said, well, just hit it, make it go away, you know. Then I go back to sleep. Then he'd be waking me up again. He'd say, that's your there's stairs right here at the door, because there was a door right there in that room. I went up to the attic. He goes, is there stairs I go up to on top of this house or something? And I go, I don't know. I said, what? Gee, let me go to sleep. Well, he said he was hearing like something like falling down the stairs or something. And then I went back to sleep. I told him, leave me alone. Let me go to sleep. Wakes me back up again. He said, you need to go tell those people that your cousin let us stay here. And I go, what people? What are you talking about? He said, in that kitchen. He said, there's somebody in that kitchen. He said, no. And I looked towards the door, and I could see that kitchen light on because of that light around that door frame. That kitchen light on, and there's somebody in there. And me being too tired, I said, well, if they come in here, I'll tell them. So I went back to sleep. And by then it got daylight. I was still sleeping, and he woke up like that. And he panicked, man. He wanted out of there right now. When he went to the door, all those were in there, and I'm thinking, well, how did they get in here, So we just grabbed our stuff and left, and I went up to my aunt because she was staying there before she moved back into her house again. And I was asking her if my cousin had a cat, and she said, not that she knows of. So I'm telling her about the cat. I'm telling her, asking her about her stairs that go up to the attic. She lived there, and she said, oh, yeah. And I told her about what he was hearing, and she was telling me that the old lady, because she died, she fell down the stairs. And I telling her about that kitchen, like everything that had happened. Mm-hmm.
Dang, that lady that lived there died on those stairs.
She tumbled down or fell down.
Oh.
He was freaked out, believe me. He was scared. He never said he never ever got spooked like that before.
Yeah, it's a heck of a thing when people first. I was there when my good friend Sonny Wagner he passed on to. He got spooked in Chemawa, back to Chemawa, the tunnels. So I had heard stories about these tunnels for a long time, and if anyone knows me, they know I like to explore things, and I'm always into stuff and stuff. You can't keep me out of a place if I want to be in there, and so it was like that. I was on this personal mission to find these tunnels, and I followed all the leads I heard. I heard there was like an opening down by this one little stream thing. There wasn't nothing there. I heard there was like just all these rumors, and I followed them all until finally I just stopped listening to all those. And I started trying to look for myself. What I did was I started in that school, and I went to all the places nobody is allowed to be in, maintenance rooms, everything like that. And I finally found them. And I explored them myself first, and I knew how to get in and out of there. And I brought one friend in there first. We walked through, and we actually went into this weird little room and found a bunch of records from the 1960s and 50s of people, student records. We just looked at them. We weren't like raising hell with anything, stealing or anything like that. We were just exploring. And to get into that room, you had to take these metal panels off the wall, and crawl through these like dirt floor, cinder block walls, and vent, like HVAC venting all around, and you had to go through another one and do the same thing to it. So you needed a screwdriver if you wanted to go through that little place. Well, anyways, long story short is when I start bringing more people in there, and we explored all the way up. You know that parking lot up there by PPS? There's like big square benches up there. Okay, there's manhole covers right there too. That's where the tunnel ends, because there's a cinder block wall right there. And there's pipes that lead into the lower left-hand corner into the wall. It just don't go anywhere. Maybe a mouse or a rat could fit in there is about it. But the lights are broken weird ways, so it's hard to see in some of those tunnels. You're basically feeling your way through until you get to the corner and you can see some light. It's just really weird. Well, we were there. There was Sonny Wagner, myself, and Brian Penatack from Wind River. And Me and Sonny went in first, and Sonny stopped at the manhole cover, that hole. It cast a little bit of light down. He stopped right there, and we were gonna smoke cigarettes right there. Well, I wanted to go down to the end just in case there was a maintenance worker, so I did. I went to the end and I checked that back wall. There's nothing there, nobody there, so I came back to where Sonny was. Brian was still making his way into that weird little place where you can't see until you hit that corner. And just as Sonny lit his cigarette and he was handing it to me to take a puff, that thing, that man, he come walking from that back wall where there should be nobody. And he was mad. He has boots on. Now, if you kids in Chemawa are listening to this, and you hear somebody down there, if you guys find this place, just run, because he won't stop. Anyways, these boots are so heavy. If this man was alive, or if I could see an alive, I would imagine he's 300 pounds, 6'5", and he's mad, and so he's chasing us. Sonny looks at me, the fear of God in his eyes, and starts running. I run right behind him because I'm just as scared. And as we see Brian, Sonny knocks him into my path. We're so scared, and I knock Brian out of my way. When I go by him, I'm just too scared. It's every man for himself at that point. He's coming. Duke, 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 duke. I hear him. So I don't even care what happens to Brian. I don't even care what happens to Sonny. All I know is I need to get out of those tunnels as fast as possible. It was that much fear. That fight or flight, it kicked into flight. No more fight, man. It was too scary, so I ran. And Sonny is big, and he was trying to get over the top of that gate so we could get out of there. It's dead bolted with a padlock, I mean, and you have to climb over this gate and then like put your feet to the right hand side and like use those to shimmy like a board across the top, then you can drop down. He's having a hard time doing it. And I'm like, come on, Sonny, hurry, man. I'm trying to push him. I'm doing anything, and I'm just constantly glancing back and at that place where it's coming from. I can still hear him coming. And as I'm watching and Sonny's like almost getting it, I see Brian come running. He's just, again, the fear of God in his eyes like Sonny had. He grabs Sonny by his belt and just flings him out of the way. Climbs over like nothing. And I was glad that he did that because it reset Sonny. Sonny went back up and I helped him across and he was over fast, and it was my turn to get over last. As I jump over, this thing stops right where the light is cast. It's just like 2-3 feet from me. It stops in that shadow. And it won't come in that light, but it chased us right to the end of that thing. Yeah, Chemawa, those tunnels are real, but they are haunted. So now we went down there with all the Browning boys. This was the last time I went down there that I just talked about. A couple times before this, we went with all the Browning boys, and you know what? That happened again. I mean, that happened the first time that guy come from, and we thought it was a maintenance worker. You should have heard the Browning boys. They were going nuts. You know, F you, you fat B, and just running, just running and getting smart and cussing it out. They cussed out that spirit. That's how the Browning boys are. Though they're just, oh God. Anyway. Yeah, that's Chemawa.
Real experiences, then.
What's that?
So these are real experiences that people have.
Yeah, and that was Sonny's first time getting spooked. And when we made it out of there, he was, you know how you say you got water on your hands and you're wringing your hands out, just kind of like shaking them? He was doing that, walking, and he was like walking fast and like hitting his tippy toes like this weird little bounce, like, damn boys, that's the first time I've ever been spooked. That's the first time I've ever...
Jesus, they knew what I had to go through, huh? But, you know, you're there at that HLA to watch over them physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you know, verbally, you know. Yeah. That's why I learned, not to run out of there, not to get scared, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to more or less let it know, you know, how remind you.
Another one that I have about Chemawa real quick is I've been meaning to tell this story. I just been waiting to tell it. Dorm one. On Our matron was Everett Hall from Fort Belknap. Everett
Yeah.
Hall was a big, big man, and he could rip phone books in half. He would do it as a trick for us, and we'd laugh, and we'd, damn.
Yeah.
I trained all the way from my freshman year to my senior year, lifting weights, everything before I went to Marines. And I made it my personal mission to beat him in arm wrestling. I couldn't. I just couldn't. And that guy never worked out. He's just an old, strong guy. And so we were all down in the basement, I mean, the lower floor. And like toward the end of the year, they basically move all students to the main floor so that the matrons don't have to walk up and down the stairs. There was
Yeah.
there was nobody at the bottom living in those 4 rooms at the bottom. And as you walk down the stairs, the rooms that are straight ahead of you was where this happened. We were down there messing around. There's a guy named Josh Warrington. He was really good at martial arts stuff, and he was showing us some move with our wrists. I remember we were practicing it, and we're like, "Oh, really? Is that how that works?" You could use a pen. I remember we were doing something crazy like that, but we were just playing, and next thing you know, in that room, you know how they used to stack all those metal bunk beds in there? They would store
Yeah.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
those. It sounded like there was a tornado, and those were just being flung all over in that room. You could hear the bricks chipping. It was violent and it was scary.
Mm.
We start walking toward it, and everyone's behind me. All of a sudden, it dawns on me, hey, I'm leading this. What the heck? Go get Everett. Go get Everett. I just couldn't open that door. I reached, and the fear was just too thick. Go get Everett, man. Go get Everett. As he comes in, we're all like Scooby Doo, looking behind him, peeking under his arm, and like following him in there. And as he opens that door, Jenny, all of those bunk beds were still stacked up. Nothing
Mm.
happened. There's no bricks chipped everywhere like we heard.
Very heavy.
So he opens the attached bathroom to the next room. We go into that door, then we open the next door into that room, and look in there again. All those bunk beds are still nothing's at a place, and Everett and he didn't mock us. He didn't tease us. Instead, he said, "Huh. Well, if it happens again, come and get me." And
Mm.
that was that. He locked it up, and boy, we didn't play down there like that no more. Yeah,
Mm.
that was crazy because it was so violent, and multiple people heard it, and we were scared.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chemawa's got a lot going on there.
There's a lot of stories. A lot of people have different stories about how they got bothered, or even students.
I'm trying to get more people to come forward with their stories about Chemawa. I've had a few that I've approached, but
Yeah,
I
they
hope.
have a page.
Oh,
They
go ahead.
have a page for Chemawa.
I
I
seen
can
that.
I can make a phone call. See, some of them are that still work there, that I remember.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get more on there. I'd like to feature Chemawa in like a series, right? And just get a bunch out there about Chemawa. That place is creepy. I could go on and on about the trails too. We used to play hide and seek up there, and there's something in there that hides at you, or it's just out of view, and you hear walking around constantly. One time we were playing hide and seek, all me and the Browning boys. We used to do it at night. You know how crazy we were. Well, we'd do that, and I was hiding in this spot, and Christ, everybody was just missing me, going all around me, and I could hear him down the other way, like coming up, looking around. I got bored because I hid too good, I think. So I got up, and I was like, and I heard all those people that still looking for me, and heard voices, and how about over here? Hey there, just odd things, and I was, I'm just gonna walk out of here. It's like, hey, I'm over here. Shit, it was dead quiet. They all quit playing and went back down to campus. I was up there by myself.
Kind of like what I told you about us playing down at the bottom out
Mm-hmm.
in Stark. We were playing hide and go seek down there. We start seeing this man here and there, like he was playing with us. We all took off out of there.
Oh God, that's creepy.
Yeah. Those things you're not supposed to play at nighttime.
Yep,
Not supposed to be doing anything at nighttime.
and that's what you get.
Hmm.
How does that saying go? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Be careful. Be you're gonna bite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Well, Jenny, how do you feel about this stack of stories? You ready for a break? And we can maybe call again?
yeah. We'll do a break.
Yeah, let's do a break and maybe we'll call again in a few days or just whenever we recharge. You just let me know whenever you're ready for more.
Yeah, I got some more. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got some.
Well, call me up and I'm gonna get all my stuff together here and see how
All
the
right.
thing looks. The audio.
Inspire the rest of them. But come on, get on here and tell us your story about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage you all.
All
All right, Auntie.
right.
Well,
I'm
good night.
happy to get this started. Heck yeah.
Yeah, good
All right.
night and thanks for all of these stories.
Yeah. All right. Good night.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you too. We'll see you.
Yeah, later.
Wow. Oh, wow. That was good. That was a good one. I like that. Well, that was my Auntie Jenny ManyHides. It was a pleasure to record with her. We're going to record again, and when we do, we're going to talk about dreams. You know, the next time she's on. There's a lot of stories around dreams, and I guess I would like to kind of explain in that episode that we're going to have is, the importance of dreams and, how big of a part they play in our lives. And, just stuff like that and different dreams we've had, different dreams we may have heard, you know, things like that. So stay tuned for that. Also, coming up on the next free episode is going to be my cousin Taryn Williamson, and she has a lot of stories about UFOs. She actually seen UFOs. It looked like a ball of fire. She'll go into all that. She's seen 3 beings in that thing. They lost time. Yeah. There's a story she talks about with this spirit that used to bother her. And if any of y'all have ever seen the movie Smile, well, that's kind of what it is. Imagine if the movie Smile and the movie Exorcist had a daughter. And yeah, that's what used to bother her. So stay tuned for some creepy ones with Taryn. And all her stories mainly take place in Two Medicine, out there on south of Browning there. And so I'd like to encourage any of the people that have stories about Chemawa to come forward and share whatever your experiences were up there. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of spooky things that have happened up there, not just to me, but to, pretty much everybody that's ever went there. And so if I could gently prod y'all to come on the show and share your stories, we'd really appreciate it, and we'd love to hear them. Well, until next time, see you later.